In the spring of 1995, a high school senior in Rand, West Virginia was averaging over 30 points a game in basketball. 6'4", effortless, impossible to guard. A player whose movement looked like it cost him nothing, smooth where others were frantic, unhurried where others were desperate. And then he chose football. That basketball player was Randy Moss. And he walked away from the game. But what if he didn't? What if Randy Moss, the most vertically terrifying athlete football has ever produced, had said yes to basketball instead? Not to become the greatest scorer who ever lived, but to become something defenses had never been asked to solve before. And what if the way he moved through space permanently changed how the game was played? Imagine the athlete who made NFL safeties feel helpless. Never played a down of professional football. Not because he wasn't good enough, not because of injury, but because in 1995, a basketball coach in West Virginia watched a teenager move across a court and couldn't shake the feeling that what he'd witnessed wasn't a football player with basketball ability. It was a basketball player who hadn't chosen basketball yet. This is not a story about Randy Moss dunking on everybody. This is a story about what happens when a sport built around geometry, spacing, and fear inherits the most dangerous vertical threat the other sport ever produced. Let's AltPlay this. Before we go into alternate universe mode, this story is more grounded in reality than most people realize. What made Moss special wasn't the touchdowns, it was what happened when he didn't catch the ball. When he ran a route and the safety rotated his way, and the tight end on the other side suddenly had a 2-on-1. When he released off the line and a cornerback who'd given him 3 steps of cushion immediately realized that was 2 steps too many. That's not a speed trait, that's a gravity trait. And gravity, the ability to distort defensive positioning simply by existing on the field, translates to basketball more directly than almost any other skill in professional sports. What happens when a player who weaponizes space itself enters a sport built entirely around space? Here's what people misread about Randy Moss. They watch the highlights and see explosiveness. They assume the story is about physical superiority. It isn't. The story is about effortlessness, the specific psychological effect created by a player who appears to be doing less than everyone else and achieving more. That effect is as powerful in basketball as in football. Possibly more. Because in basketball, defenders are never more than a few feet away. The mental game is constant. A player who projects effortless inevitability, who makes the game look easy while defenses scramble, creates a pressure that statistics don't capture. In football, Moss said he played when he wanted to play. Most analysts treated that as a character flaw, but the baseline on his low-effort plays was still terrifying. A basketball version of that brings the same texture to every possession. The defender who can't relax, the help defender who can't commit, the entire defensive structure forced to account for someone who might not be working hard and is still the most dangerous person on the floor. There's something precise about the geometry of basketball that makes Moss's profile almost uniquely dangerous within it. In football, safeties were deployed against Moss the way NBA teams deploy defenders against generational shooters, with preemptive attention before he'd done anything. Before the snap, a safety was already shading his way. Before the route developed, coverage rotated. That's gravity. Moss generated it on every single play. The physical case needs no asterisk. 6'4" with a catch radius beyond what his frame suggested. Vertical leap documented at over 40 inches. Straight line speed in the mid-4-second range. These aren't fringe numbers. These are numbers that produce all-star selections. The only question is commitment. In this alternate timeline, he gives basketball what he gave football. Everything, when he wanted to. Which was still enough to be the most feared player in the league. So, let's say it's 1995. Moss commits to basketball. He arrives in a college program, physically ready, offensively raw, but carrying something you can't coach. His coaches notice it immediately. Not just the length, not just the leaping. Something in the way he moves off the ball. Most young players chase the ball. Moss does something different. He reads the floor while the ball is somewhere else. He processes defensive positioning, who's helping where, who's cheating toward the paint, and drifts into the space that's about to open. It's the same instinct that made him the NFL's greatest deep threat. Safeties choose a help rotation before the snap. Moss read that rotation in real time, adjusted his route, and arrived exactly where the coverage wasn't. In basketball, defenders make the same rotational decisions, and Moss processes them just as fast. The flashes become unstoppable long before the polish arrives. By the time Moss reaches the NBA, opposing coaches have a problem they've never written a game plan for. He's not a high-volume isolation player. He doesn't need 20 touches. He doesn't need to dribble, create, or run pick-and-roll sequences. What he does is find the floor's worst geometry for the defense and stand in it. In the half-court, his weak side positioning is a constant problem. A shooter of Moss's athleticism and size in the corner is a different category of threat. He catches and rises over smaller defenders. He attacks a closeout and finishes above the rim. He holds a defender in the corner while a drive and kick operates on the other side. Defenses can't guard him without abandoning someone else. They can't abandon someone else without opening him up. It's the same dilemma NFL coordinators faced for a decade, and nobody solved it there either. Here's where the ripple effects start to matter. When Moss reaches his peak, something shifts in how teams think about roster construction. The league was already moving toward spacing, away from post-centric offenses, toward perimeter creation and floor balance. Moss accelerates that evolution in a specific direction. Analytics departments begin measuring something they hadn't prioritized before: vertical gravity. The degree to which a player forces defensive repositioning before touching the ball. Moss scores at the extreme end of every metric they devise. His presence changes shot distributions across the entire offense, even on possessions where he finishes with 0 field goal attempts. Younger players imitate the style: the long stride cut, the weak side release, the studied nonchalance before every highlight. The question teams had been asking: how consistent can this player be? The question they start asking: what if consistency isn't the point? What if the threat is enough? Those are not the same question, and the difference reshapes how the league thinks about wing players. Here's the real question this story leaves you with. Not whether Randy Moss would have been a great basketball player. The development curve is real. The defensive questions are real. Basketball demands engagement in ways football doesn't. The real question is this: can a player who distorts space on one court permanently change how the game is played on every court? Randy Moss in basketball doesn't fit any prior archetype. He's a player whose defining quality, making defenses rearrange themselves before he's done anything, belongs to a category that barely existed. In football, he changed what the quarterback position was allowed to attempt, making throws possible that hadn't been tried before. In basketball, he would have done the same thing, but to passers, to plays, to the entire offensive language of the sport. Did Randy Moss dominate basketball, or did he redefine how defenses understand fear? That's the question, and the honest answer is probably both. Randy Moss and basketball. Could one player really change how the sport understands space? Through scoring, through gravity, or through something the league had never had a category for? Let me know what you think in the comments. And if you want more alternate reality sports breakdowns, the untold what-ifs, the ripple effects, the decisions that almost changed everything, subscribe to AltPlay and hit the notification bell. We drop one of these every week, and the next one goes even deeper. Stay curious, and I'll see you in the next one.